RPN is not responsible for the views, actions, statements, or opinions of its guests, advertisers, or even its viewers. The information contained in this program is not to be construed as medical or legal advice. An appearance on this show is not necessarily an endorsement, and as always, we encourage you to do your own research. Enjoy the show. Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. As always, I am Zak the Corruption Detector, and this is yet another edition of Comfy Sunday. Episode 35, and yet another in our series of election specials with our good friend, Trump prophet Mark Taylor. I hope you guys are having a lovely evening, that you've had a marvelous day, and a wonderful weekend as well. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Do me a favor. Please consider liking and sharing this broadcast. Help us break through the algorithm. Want to say a special hello to the mods. And thank you to everyone who's been here waiting. We're very excited about tonight's show. We're going to be talking about lots of upcoming things. Amy Coney Barrett, of course, is going to be a big topic of conversation. The New York Times just put out another hit piece on President Trump with fake news about his taxes, and so much more. So please sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a very brief word from our sponsor.
Record-breaking summer heat is here, and cities all across the world are experiencing the hottest summers they've ever had. Japan's hit a national record of 105 degrees, Connecticut had highs of 92, Denver 90, and Phoenix 107. It's getting extra hot where I live too, and that's why I've been keeping a mini air conditioner on my desk. This air conditioner is a convenient 3-in-1, highly versatile air cooler. It works by pushing out conditioned air with the use of water evaporation, and it's purified by a filter to ensure it stays hygienic and to improve the air quality in the room. This mini AC unit comes with multiple adjustable modes to tailor it to your environment and preferences. It works as a portable air cooler, air purifier, and air humidifier. Plus, it has 3 different wind speeds and USB connectivity, so it can be powered by multiple devices. I've partnered with Easy Summer Cool to give my audience 50% off. Plus, you get free shipping on their own mini air conditioner. Just go to easysummercool.com or click the link in the pinned comment or description below and order yours today. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel.
Man, I'm doing great. We're just all on our now 48-hour Biden watch to see if he actually makes it to the nice little debate that we're all looking forward to. You're apparently muted.
Welcome back to another episode of Comfy Sunday. I don't know how that happened. Thank you, Methods, for being here once again. And to your statement about the debates, I am so excited. I certainly hope that Joe Biden does show up. It is almost a necessity in my mind. You know, I think back to 2016 and all of the incredible sound bites that we got. You know, Jeb is a mess. The sound bites about Marco Rubio and everybody else. Of course, Hillary Clinton. President Trump is set to stomp Joe Biden intellectually on Tuesday night. And of course, you know, we're doing the event, but even if he doesn't show up, then we're still going to have a show. But I just think that it's a necessity. I mean, I don't see how you can have a presidential season without having a presidential debate. If Joe Biden doesn't show up, there's absolutely no defense that he can offer, you know? I mean, I think that everybody who maybe isn't convinced right now is going to be convinced that Joe Biden isn't doing the debate because he's not mentally capable of going up against the might and power of President Trump, all that alpha lion energy.
100%. And I think that I've seen other people say this after all this chaos that we've been dealing with all the time with the Rona, just all the attacks on the president and all that. We all know that we would have just like content gold.
Oh yeah.
To watch Trump just take him apart on everything. Trump's not going to hold back bringing up things. He doesn't even have to be savage about it. He just has to bring up the truth and put Biden in a corner for him to have to talk.
Yeah.
I think we deserve this. I think we really deserve to have this opportunity to watch this, but they know that it's going to ruin them. I mean, Nancy Pelosi just doubled down again this past week saying that she doesn't think Joe Biden should. And her argument was that he shouldn't give Trump the satisfaction because Trump just keeps lying. That's the whole, the whole argument. Joe should take the high road and not do it. I hope it happens. I'm still holding my breath until I see it on air and they both are on stage. Whoever walks Biden out slowly or whatever,
wheels him out.
Right. Wheels him out. I think it'd be really funny if they brought him from like under the stage, kind of like from the basement. Right. I think we deserve it, and I look forward to it happening. But I will tell this to everybody: do what you want to do. If he backs out, we raise hell about this.
Absolutely,
and totally call it out entirely because we need that. We need those things to show the difference in between the two side by side. We can only make so many clips showing what Trump says and then what Biden says. We need them on stage dealing with it in real time.
I completely agree with you, and it's an institution in the American political process. I don't know of any other presidential season where there was this potential to not have at least a single debate. It's a complete necessity. And if these Democrats, the people on the left, if they honestly believe that Joe Biden could take on President Trump, then it's their responsibility to prove it. Now, Joe Biden made a statement today about President Trump. He said he's not too bright. Well, Joe, you put your money where your mouth is, and let's see you on stage next to President Trump, and, everybody else can make up their own mind. Just because Joe Biden likes to make derogatory comments about people and, the press gives him a complete pass on it, doesn't mean that he can get a pass on not doing this debate. Now, speaking about derogatory comments, just briefly, not too long ago, there was that story about President Trump written by that Godfather lover, I forgot who he even was or what agency he worked for. But
The Atlantic.
The Atlantic, that's right, The Atlantic. And, he made up that story that President Trump called servicemen and women suckers for giving their lives for their country. And then, obviously, it came out. That was a scene from The Godfather Part 2. Now, I actually heard that he broke down on Facebook and made a sort of quasi-admission that's where it came from. I haven't been able to find the Facebook post because I don't use Facebook. But this is just something I heard in passing yesterday. But there was a clip that made some headlines, among conservative circles over the last couple of days. Back in 2016, Joe Biden was speaking to our men and women in uniform, and he's told them to clap. He said, "Clap, you stupid B words." And then he said, "You must be a dull bunch." Effectively defaming them in the exact same way that President Trump was accused of defaming them. And, like you said, all President Trump needs to do is get on stage and lay out the facts. Force Joe Biden to respond to the information that we've received over the last couple of years that people have been diligently cataloging. Ask him about the fact, why are you a named criminal defendant in a case in Ukraine? Why has the Senate put out this information showing that your son took a $3.5 million payment, and for what, we might add, from the former Moscow mayor's wife? I mean, all Joe Biden has to do is be confronted with the hard, cold facts of the situation, and he's not going to be able to answer it in a sufficient way. And besides that, I'm certain he's going to have a series of brain freezes, and he's not going to look too good in front of the camera, and especially he's going to look weak next to President Trump.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we still have, I still enjoy watching the clip of Trump telling Hillary that, because you would be in jail.
Yes.
Like it would live on. And if anybody's watched the presser clips that have happened over the since Biden, put his hat in the ring to kind of protect himself and everybody to run for president, when they bring up anything, especially his family, especially all these accusations and allegations towards what they were doing in Ukraine, China, and everywhere else, he gets angry. Like, he's 0 to angry real quick. And imagine him having to deal with Trump doing that when they said max they only have seating capacity for 80 people in the room. So you've got that little bridge troll, Chris Wallace. You have 80 people behind him, and then Trump and him are talking, and they have the stage. Imagine that going on. Now, Donna Proper brought up a good point in the chat, because in the presser earlier, Trump brought it up again about the drug testing. He said he'll take a drug test before, but he wants Biden drug tested, and he explained why. He said, because I watch these different debates and stuff that Biden does, and he seems like he's different each time. Like, sometimes he's got the energy and he does okay, and sometimes he's a mental wreck. And Trump's got a point, and if he could drive home this and get it to the point that Biden has to then argue about it. Now, I know that there has been a report that his team has already put out a hard no, all caps. They won't do the drug test, and we all could probably assume why. Because if he is using performance-enhancing drugs, if you will, like this is an actual fight, then, yeah, that's a problem. And that we can't have a president who has to depend on stuff like that to get through. And then we can balance it back and forth with, well, Trump took the HCQ, and you guys had a problem with that. Well, then what is Biden on that's actually keeping him cognitively decent?
And the great irony of President Trump offering to take a drug test is that one of the major criticisms that I consistently see on Twitter, Adderall is always trending on Twitter because people on the left always say that President Trump is snorting Adderall or he's on Adderall or something like that. So, President Trump isn't on any drugs. He's not a drug user. He's not a drinker. But, that's how they want to paint him, probably because they are so keen to use drugs and alcohol in their own lives, and they can't imagine a world where somebody could survive without them. But if President Trump was willing to take a drug test, then, it would put that argument to rest, and they would have nothing to complain about and nothing to make up about the president anymore. But, I mean, it's clear Joe Biden is most likely using some sort of performance-enhancing cocktail, shall we say. And I don't know what it is, but I mean, it's definitely something that's keeping him afloat. And probably the days that he takes off are the days that he has to cycle off of it, I mean, he needs to go ahead and get some good sleep so that he doesn't have to, worry about getting the injection marks on his hands from the IVs or whatever it is. Now, somebody in the chat also said something about a body double. Could they bring out a body double? I think it's more likely, because here's the thing. Joe Biden sometimes will go out and wear a mask throughout his entire appearance, and then other times he won't wear a mask. I think that if he has a body double, and it's very likely that he does, then the body double is being used when they have a mask on his face and he doesn't take it off. But I don't think that a body double would be something that you could use for the entire length of a debate. And here's why, is because it would become too obvious. People would have too much time to, kind of examine his face and, the shape of his ears, his eyes, his nose, all of it. And they'd be able to pick it out, and people like us would call him on it. Now, as far as I know, the only times that body doubles are routinely used is during public appearances when, stars or political figures can be seen from afar and photographs are taken. So, like imagine, remember back on that famous day in 9/11 when Hillary Clinton passed out and they had to pick her up by, with like 4 to 6 Secret Service agents with some EMTs and put her into that van, basically just toss her in, where it sounded like a bracket or something fell off of a leg brace. And then she shows up later and she's perfectly healthy. And of course they have a 16-foot line cordoned off around her, and she looked, totally fine. Obviously, I think that was a body double at that time. But I just don't see Joe Biden using a body double for the debate. I don't think it would work. And another reason, I think that probably a lot of Joe's body doubles are dead. I mean, it's difficult to get somebody, who can hang when, you get to that age bracket and have them continue to look enough like you.
Right. I mean, I typically don't lean directly into body double clone stuff. It's not really my bag. People can have their opinions, and that's fine. Now that what you brought up on Never Forget Day, when Hillary magically appeared and seemed fine after we watched her, self-destruct in front of that van, that right there was obviously not her, and she's known famously for using body doubles, and because she used one that would go to parties that got paid to be fake Hillary Clinton, and they ended up meeting her and probably used her a bunch for those kind of things. I do believe it would be Biden there. If we're talking under the guys that were actually getting this, then it would be Biden there, and I think it'll be everything we want it to be and more. I think we're going to have a clear spoken. I think Trump's smartest way to go about it is to talk as clear and smooth and not even really take shots. Let Biden, bring up the points, bring up Hunter, bring up, China and all that. But and also the spying stuff too. I would love if you brought up Spygate, because that was under Biden's watch too when they were doing all those things. But allow Biden to show his, how declined he's been and how he's not presidential at all, or at least could run this country. I'm all about that, but we'll see what happens. And somebody brought up in the chat, it'd be funny if he got drug tested and he showed up, he had HCQ in his system. That'd be hilarious. We'd definitely have a field day with that. It says you're muted.
All right. So JR made an excellent point. He said that the Secret Service would more than likely know, and I'm sure they would. And I don't think that President Trump would be okay with debating a body double. That would not be something that he would be down for. I'm sure they would call it out, and I'm sure that they wouldn't go for it. Now, what I was saying is that we have a very special announcement about the event on Tuesday. Whether or not there is the debate that is held at all, we have something that we have to announce. So you guys make sure that you're here. We're going to talk about that after we talk about these new rumors that have come out through Maria Bartiromo in regards to the Durham investigation. Now, earlier today, Maria Bartiromo opened her broadcast, Sunday Morning Futures, by letting her audience know that sources in the DOJ have told her that it's extremely unlikely that the Durham investigation is going to be completed and fully announced prior to the election. Now, there's a couple of different things that I think are important to mention. Number one, sources say, who are these sources? Okay, we don't know. And I would also point back to the phrase coined by our favorite Anon, that disinformation is necessary. So that's one way you can look at it. Number two, just because it's not going to be completed before the election doesn't mean that there can't be some amount of, investigations related to certain individuals that couldn't be rolled out before the election. And then after the election, there could be a lot more stuff that, that would be gone into and then, would be coming out. Now, methods, you had mentioned something to me earlier in regards to some of the recent posts. What were you thinking about this?
Right. Well, I find it very curious that yesterday our favorite Anon is posting and he's telling us about another prosecutor that's out there in the wind that has the same abilities as Durham. It's a name that I think we probably don't even know or didn't know that's involved. I think that's the best thing. Let Durham be the front face, kind of like how we had Huber for a while, and let Durham get all the heat and stuff because Durham's still going to do it, but then have somebody else working on the side.
Absolutely.
And that person isn't Durham, so that would make Maria technically correct if something were to come out of it. And another point about this, and I want to just stress this completely, there is no Durham report. I mean, yeah, he will report what he does, I imagine, or Barr will speak. I think it would be absolutely funny if we only see Durham just stand there and never talk this entire time and let Barr handle it. But with that said, I think that it's a Durham action. It's going to be consequences. Now, there's been a debate back and forth that I've had with a few friends of mine today, especially because Maria didn't do us any favors by giving this.
Right.
You know, we talk about how the mainstream media says sources to attack Trump or to push their agenda, but then when it's Maria doing it on Fox News, which has been questionable at best lately, some people kind of lose their minds and get caught up in their emotions about it. You know, the pros and cons of doing it before and or after the election, because we know how the media will spin it. You know, Trump going after his enemies when they're telling their whole audience that Trump's going to lose. Mm-hmm. So why not? So to them, it'll be like, all right, Trump was getting kicked out the door. We're getting rid of him. Your votes that are definitely legal and aren't cheating at all in the election, in the mail-in voting. You know, you got Biden in, and now Trump on his way out the door. He knows he's leaving. He's just going to go ahead and just, take everybody down. I can respect waiting till after on that. Now, I'm not trying to sell everybody on that. I get that. I think that some more needs to happen besides just information and more text. Before that, we need something. I mean, even if they go after the Mueller team and a Weissman, something like that, more evidence, put some meat on the bone for us. I do still believe that even after Maria said that, I do still believe we'll be getting something beforehand. I'm not trying to give everybody hope stuff, but I do believe that. And I do believe that at the very least, Maria could have been told to say that. Remember how she told us that the IG report was going to come, 2 or 3 different times? Mm-hmm. My sources say at the end of this week or this Friday, even Trump had retweeted one that didn't even end up being true.
Right.
So we can't run on those things no matter who says it. Right. Now Bard comes out and says, I'm not allowing Durham to do this, then okay, that's fine. But at this point in this climate, up to the election, either side that says something that's not the president or not some of the few people we know that we could trust saying things, take it all with a grain of salt, because it's either a head fake or it's actually truthful and it's not going to change anything if we complain, or they're just saying things because you get what I'm saying, right, Bill?
Oh, I'm totally on board with you. And I mean, I think that is, a totally sound theory and holds a lot of water. So not only do we have this, more than likely another unnamed prosecutor who's working on a host of other crimes in addition to whatever Durham is working on. We also have, the continuation of the Huber investigation, which has now been rolled into Durham's investigation proper. And we have at least 3 other named U.S. attorneys also working on separate investigations, which also directly tie into whatever it is that Durham is doing. And as our favorite Anand said just very recently, the political spying, less than 1%, okay? So we're looking at a host of other additional crimes. And Muffin, what is going on, honey? Why are you whining? So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that this can go. And, I just want to tell everybody to be careful, I mean, I've already seen in the chat people saying, Durham and Barr have betrayed Trump and there will be no other indictments. Well, what are your sources, okay? I certainly don't know that to be true. And I believe that you don't know that to be true either. That's your opinion, but I'm telling you that my opinion is this is still going to happen, okay? This isn't game over, man, okay? We're literally waiting on a timeline that we are not privy to, all right? So think about the fact that there is more than just Durham that's working on all of these various aspects of these crimes, and allow yourself to believe in the power of the U.S. judicial system. And think, about the intelligence of President Trump and his decisions of who he's placed around him. He is not a stupid man. Do not take Joe Biden's word for it. President Trump would not have helped to orchestrate the greatest takedown of the criminal cabal that's been running our world for I don't know how many years if he was not aware of every single thing that they could possibly throw at him. I think he's been ready for everything. He's had a counter move for absolutely every curveball they've tried to throw. And so I think that President Trump is going to be just fine, and I do believe that we're going to see justice here in this country. It's just a matter of time, guys. And Maria Bartiromo, we have no idea who she spoke with. We have no idea who gave her this information. It could very easily have been black hats that have been giving her information this entire time, pretending that they're on our side, pretending that they're giving her good information. And like Method said, she's had complete whiffs on a number of occasions, giving us dates, giving us timelines, and things have just not come to pass. So we're going to be there before we know it. And Muffin, honey, you got to stop. Hang on. I need to get her up on my lap.
That's fine, man. We're all kind of crossing fingers for Muffingate 2.0. Now, Chef Matt, hey, good to see you here, brother. Reminds us also the no leaks aspect of this. How would that have changed by this morning? Because Maria said so. And I'm not trying to say that we're against Maria now or by any means, but we are still in that no leaks thing. And if you have to think about before this morning, the audience can probably agree with me on this, that things have been ramping up. The last 2 weeks has been pointing all signs that we're in the right direction. We're in a new chapter that's leading us towards what we all want. We all felt it. We all saw these information coming out. Trump said yesterday, more text messages and stuff are going to come out that are going to be even more intense than what we just got this past week. And they were talking about the FBI, already like having to get themselves liability insurance, because they were doing things wrong. So they're already setting the stage there. So outside of what Maria said this morning, what signs do you have that it's not happening or not going in that direction? I think Maria didn't help out anybody for saying that, which leads me to believe that she was told to say that, or like you said, somebody's feeding her misinformation. But we still move on. We're still going to get more information. Trump still needs to win. So, okay, fine. If we think that we've been all taken on the ride for the last few years, then what are you going to do? Not vote? A not vote for Trump is essentially a vote for Biden, because we have to stack up as many votes as we can, especially, having the popular vote argument taken away from them like they did with Hillary Clinton. So we still need to go in that direction there. Because I know none of us are going to then say, fine, I'm going to vote for Biden. That's not going to happen.
No.
So to me, it's just like all because one person said one thing. Step back, think about everything that's going on and what direction things are going. We've got Comey hearing this Wednesday, which is going to be very important to watch going on. And I'm interested to see if any information drops that's going to make him have to answer towards something in the next few days. If these text messages or whatever is about to come out is planned to happen right before him, to where they can kind of hold him dead to rights as far as him talking in public. And then now we found out McCabe is the following week.
Yes.
And those would be the two that were heavily involved in all this stuff. So everybody, like Red Pill said, step back. It's fine. Nothing changed for me. All I heard in my head when Maria said that was like, oh man, today's going to be rough on Twitter. Absolutely. It wasn't, oh man, I don't feel like anything's going to happen now.
Yeah. PG in the chat says Mark Taylor's going to be on here. Yes, he is in the second hour. If you've never been here for Comfy Sunday, the first hour is Methods and I having a conversation. The second hour is the guest who joins in on that conversation. So yeah, Mark Taylor's going to be here very shortly. Before we get into any of these other subjects, let me just make this announcement, because I feel like we've got a good amount of people here. So you guys know that we are doing the MAGA meetup on Tuesday in Port Clinton, Ohio. My mods have dropped the links for the GoFundMe. If you want to donate to help us cover the costs, because we're not charging anything, then that's awesome. If you just want to show up, it's a totally free event, so you don't have to worry about it. But also by signing up through the GoFundMe, then you get the address before anybody else does. And I'm hoping that as many people will be there as can possibly attend, because it's going to be really great. We're going to have a stage. I'm going to start streaming before the debate. I'm going to do a little bit of commentary. We're going to talk to some people in the crowd. Then I'm going to cover the debate itself, and then we're going to have a conversation about what happened after it. Well, today we just learned that this is no longer going to be a solo event planned by JR and myself. This is now an official Trump victory event, which means that it is sanctioned by the president and Team Trump, and President Trump is sending campaign representatives there to the event to hang out with us. I'm thinking they might be bringing some Trump, T-shirts and hats, MAGA hats, stuff like that. But this is now changed into something much greater than we had originally anticipated it to be. I was totally blown away when JR sent me that message earlier today. I am extremely excited. And Muffin, what are you guys doing? Jeez, oh Pete. Okay, they just started playing around with the cables. But let me show you this video that JR made. He just got the paint done for the event, and he made it special this time. Let's take a look.
In honor of Comfy Sunday, your favorite patriot got a little surprise for you.
Hey.
Check out this new Trump sign, red pill style.
So JR has the paint done. He has done it all in red for in homage to the Red Pill 78 aspect. And we've got parking. We've got the stage blocked off. It's going to be really, really cool. There's going to be food there. There actually might even be a band now. JR messaged me about that. I'm not going to name them yet because I haven't gotten full confirmation on this, but I just want to say thank you so much, JR, for hosting this event. Thank you so much for putting in the time and the effort required to get that painted, and I just can't wait. It's going to be so cool, and I have no idea who from the campaign is going to be there, but I mean, undoubtedly, President Trump is, he's going to know what we're doing, and hopefully he's going to be watching. I don't think he'll probably be there, but you can always hope against hope. How cool would that be?
Yeah, it's definitely exciting, and we're happy for you. Out of a lot of us here, we would want you to be there because you're doing a show from there, right? You're already going to be doing stuff, so that's going to be cool. Like on the Red Pill 78 resume, that you did a sanctioned Trump event. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it was awesome to see you behind Trump's shoulder, looking like Mortal Kombat, standing there. At the for you to do this, man, we're all excited for you. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we support you. You'll do great.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Somebody asked where Chi-Chi is. Chi-Chi is generally pretty quiet. Being here in this apartment, Muffin can hear everybody coming and going. So if you're not like holding on to her like I am right now, then she gets nervous and she starts thinking. Real Red Pill girlfriend had to go run some errands once the show started. So Muffin is waiting for her to come home, and I think she's a little anxious. But getting back to the debate itself, we now have a list of topics that are going to be talked about. So it looks like the Trump and Biden records, including Biden's record in Ukraine, Paul Sperry is speculating. The Supreme Court, that is definitely important. The CV-19 beer bug situation, the economy, which has never been stronger despite this incredible slowdown that we had as a result of the planned incident that took place from our friends in China, and race and violence in major American cities, as well as the integrity of the election. So, I don't like that Chris Wallace is doing this necessarily. I think that President Trump is going to have the deck stacked against him in terms of, how combative Wallace is going to be with him. But, maybe it has to be stacked against the president just a little bit in order to make it a slightly more level playing field for Biden, And I can't imagine that he's going to be able to go over all of these issues successfully unless he has some type of an earpiece in, unless he's getting coached by somebody.
Right. I mean, all eyes on Donna Brazil. But yeah, I'm just looking at this list here, and okay, the Trump and Biden records as far as like what they've done, because Biden pushes his 47 years, or I imagine it's updated. It's 180 years right now. That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah, right. So his 180 years of success in our government. So those bounce back and forth, and what Trump has accomplished has just been in a few years. So that's going to be Trump wins that argument.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court argument we win because of the Constitution itself.
Mm-hmm.
Trump has every right to put ACB in. They're going to try to argue these things, and I'm amazed that like half of these that they're going to be discussing are all relevant to this year or the last few months.
Yeah.
Like how convenient. If the Rona never happened, a lot of this falls on its face because of the economy. They're going to talk about the virus. And then the whole race and violence in the cities. If the whole BLM, stuff didn't happen, there wouldn't be no conversation. So how convenient does this end up being, stacked for Biden, like you said? But Trump's got an argument for all of it. That platinum plan that he's going to sign, that's going to make the KKK and Antifa essentially domestic terrorists. I mean,
Yes.
that right there is going to be, he's like, yeah, well, I'm doing that. Why didn't y'all do it? Oh, that's right. The Democrats, started the KKK.
Yeah.
There's not a winning anything for Biden to really lean in on. And how are the media going to be able to take segments for them to use their sound bites? How are they going to be able to do this? Because every single point here, Trump can win.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. They love to harp on President Trump's record with the beer bug. But, all he has to do is point to what the Democrats were saying at the time that he was talking about closing the country down. And he can always now point to the recently released numbers by the CDC. I mean, if he was to point that out, and ask, why are you guys, freaking out about this? We've lived for generations with, common everyday sicknesses that are far more deadly, and America has been just fine, and we've never shut the country down. He would win on that as well. But the race and the violence in cities, all he has to do is point to the fact that Democrats are fanning the flames. They're doing absolutely nothing. To your point about, designating the KKK and Antifa as terror organizations, Biden has a notorious record as a segregationist. He was friends with Byrd, and Hillary Clinton, didn't she speak at his funeral? They want President Trump to do something about this stuff, and by going after both of those groups, which ironically are different militant wings of the Democrat Party, he's completely wiping the slate, and there's nothing that they can say about it.
Exactly. And I think part of what we really need to be doing during this time is the points that Trump makes. I think we need to be finding the clips and the statements of him doing these things and backing them up. Or if he makes claims against Biden or the Democrat Party, we need to be making sure that those clips are out there in the public forum for the rest of the world to see and justify. If the left makes such a big deal about fact checkers, let's be the fact checkers for the president and help him out. And do that, because we know Biden, his only things that he could say are the talking points that the media already lies about. Now it's going to come out of his mouth even more so on these 6 topics. Or is it 6? Yeah, 6 topics. Then we need to make sure that we're also calling them out on that end. It's very important that we're presenting this because, like you said, this is tradition. It's supposed to, what this is supposed to be, this dog and pony show is really supposed to be, you're looking at both candidates side by side, answering questions. They might take little jabs at each other for what they've done in the past, but ultimately it's for the American people to decide for themselves. Now, we already know pretty much everybody's decided, right? At this point, we can safely say people know who they're going to vote for. They're just planning on not voting at all.
Yeah.
But we can't allow them to just get their sound bites. They're all of 30 seconds of good Biden material and run with it. We have to make sure that we're covering and helping out entirely with Trump in this, because even if it's on, even it with Chris Wallace being tied to Fox News is running it, and there's only 80 people there, and it's going to be just kind of like an intimate setting type thing. We have to absolutely work under the guise that all the cards are still stacked against Trump.
Miss Sue says, did you see the pic of Biden sniffing RBG from way back that surfaced? It is not a Photoshop either. I have not seen it.
I saw it. It's gold. It's absolutely gold. I'll find it. Send it. Yeah, as far as I know, it is real. It looked very real to me, but you know how deep fakes and stuff go.
Sure.
But yeah, he absolutely was like, imagine younger versions of them, and he's just leaning over again. Like, it's absolutely just what you want it to be.
Oh man, I can't wait. And then also Kathy Waddell says she's been watching for 3 years and she's going to miss us when this is all over. Kathy, I just want you to know that whether or not President Trump, is in office, I am planning to do this for as long as I possibly can, and I'm sure that Methods is as well. So the old saying that we are the news now, handle with care. I mean, I take that very seriously. And I've worked really hard to make this channel something that can be a legitimate alternative to that mainstream media propaganda programming that is so ubiquitous on the airwaves. So I'm hoping that this continues, well into the autumn of my years. So you don't have to worry about missing us.
Exactly. I mean, there's always going to be stuff that can be commented on, that we can hang out. We've created this community, this family, and Red Pill and I can speak for him clearly on this. We love hanging out with you guys. This is our favorite times of the day. Like, we have to prep for these shows and get things going. I now have my channel. I'm doing stuff. It's a lot of work behind the scenes, but ultimately this is the favorite part of it. This is the payoff to us, that we get to hang out and chat. So it's getting past the election, getting past everything that checks off all our favorite Anon boxes on what they've talked about. Doesn't change the fact that life is still going to be happening, and there's still going to be stuff for us to comment on, talk about, catch you guys up as busy as you guys are. So that's fine. I mean, we're just getting started.
Yeah. So don't worry, guys. I'm not planning on going anywhere. Okay, so this is another bit of news that I have been anxiously awaiting to talk about. We mentioned this the other day, and I was a little hesitant to say too much about it because it had just broken. But there was a woman named Holly Zoller, who is a recorded member of Antifa. She was in a story about Charlottesville back in, 2018 when that happened? And she works for a project known as the Bail Project, which is funded by money from George Soros. What they do is they bail out rioters from jail, and then they put them back on the streets. Well, when everything popped off in Louisville, Kentucky, after the Breonna Taylor decision, there was a U-Haul truck that was left sitting in a parking lot with its door conveniently open, and inside was riot shields and umbrellas, water, all kinds of instruments that people might use if they wanted to have a good riot. And of course, they went ahead and used them. Well, that truck was rented by Miss Holly Zoller of the Bail Project. So what these people were doing was providing the tools necessary for these people to riot. And then the people on the streets would go ahead and use them, get arrested, and then they would get bailed out by the Bail Project and then put right back out on the streets to continue the cycle of violence. Well, Holly was, kind of doxxed basically by some enterprising internet researchers, and somebody even got on the phone with her and got her to admit the fact that she had rented the U-Haul, driven it, and then, handed out stuff there at the protest riots. And so now she has been arrested. She's been taken into police custody, and it's a really good news, because the cycle that we're seeing play out there is being scripted by these various organizations that are all getting funding from the exact same place, and it's from George Soros and his network of non-governmental organizations. It's the same place that funded the rioting and the unrest that we saw in Ukraine and in many other countries where this color revolution playbook was put into action. And it's the exact same thing that we're seeing take place right now. So I'm very, very happy to report that Holly Zoller was arrested, and she is in police custody, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we know that they have to have, some type of organizing to getting these things shifted around to their people to cause this chaos in the streets. And we just got a situation going on where we get to see firsthand how they did it. Mm-hmm. We got a name, we have video proof. The doxing phone call was hilarious, especially especially at the end when the guy says, I wish you luck. But yeah, I mean, that's basically a glimpse into what we already know is going on. You just kind of get to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, hopefully this is going to lead. This is another point here, is that it seems that the police, law enforcement in these areas are getting emboldened. They are feeling like it's safe to go after the people that are. She did make bail, white squawk you. Okay, all right. Well, good to know. They're getting emboldened. Okay, they're okay with arresting these people and putting them in jail. I mean, which is where they deserve to be. You can't just go burn down your city. You can't destroy businesses. You can't destroy the livelihood of the people in these cities and expect to get away with it and for nothing to happen. And unfortunately, it's been that way for far too long. The law enforcement in these cities, I think they were previously afraid to do anything about it. But now it's happening, and I'm very, very glad to report it. Now, in another bit of news related to these riots that we're seeing, in Orange County, California, Yorba Linda, I think it might have been, there was a Trump rally that was taking place. Well, it was like, I guess, a demonstration, but lots of Trump supporters there. There were counter-protesters that showed up, which means the Black Bloc Brigade. And that one of these activists, one of the BLM activists, they willfully drove their car through a crowd of people, and she drove over quite a few people. There were several people that were injured, and she has, in fact, been arrested, and she has been charged with attempted murder, which is exactly what it was. There was some horrific footage of a gentleman laying on the ground with his leg bone protruding from his shin. It was pretty grim looking. But these people, they were just they were chanting USA. They were supporting President Trump, and the counter-protesters wanted to show up and tell them how much they hated the president and how much they hated the country. And then, of course, they had to turn it violent. Now, the mainstream media reported on it, and the only thing they reported was that some wild-eyed Trump supporter got into a scuffle with a rioter that was live streaming at the time. But I'm very, very proud to report that this woman has been charged with attempted murder, and I hope that it is not the only thing that's going to happen, and I hope that it's going to be multiple charges too.
Right, and I'm glad you brought the media up, because that's where I wanted to take it. This is on them. This is on them. This is on the Democrats, because they've turned this Trump supporters, MAGA itself, patriotism chanting USA, as the enemy. And they've actually, radicalized people. Now, we don't know. Obviously, there's probably talk of MK Ultra stuff in this driving. I don't know. I don't know too much about the story. You know more than I do. Mm-hmm. But based off of what you're saying, that would make sense with everything we see from the mainstream media. The way they talk about things, the way they say how the Democrats will be like, well, we want everybody to have a voice, but then they only speak for that voice of their audience, and they leave us all out. I have yet to see any of them speak on my behalf when they say all American people. Yeah. They push these people to do these kind of things, and that, to me, they need to be held accountable for that as well. And the fact that we all see it, and we'll keep screaming it because we have to. If we're going to have people, because all they would have to do is then ask this person, why did you do it? And they would say, well, because they're this, and this, and it's the same talking points of what they say about us. That's where it becomes a problem, and that's what they're radicalizing, while they're saying us on our side in this community are a cult, and we're out here getting people to radicalize them, and we're the dangerous ones. But the rhetoric that they're saying is directly fueling at least the intention of them driving into a crowd of MAGA people.
Exactly. Now, I have to get Muffin a treat because that's the only thing I think it's going to shut her up until real red pill girlfriend gets back. But I think this is an excellent time to dive into the story out of Scotland. Yet another article has come out defaming this movement, the Truth and Research movement, our favorite Anon, calling it a contagion, categorizing it as a virus in the same way they did in another article very recently, and discussing how it has spread to Scotland. Methods, can you talk about this for a moment while I go and get Muffin a treat?
Absolutely, and we will not hold your girlfriend accountable for this happening at all. All right, so yeah, basically, what the media is trying to do here is they're trying to act like we're slowly spreading, even though anybody that's paid attention these last few years, we know that we've been in a lot of places. Why do you think our favorite Anon shows pictures of Q flags in different countries and stuff? It's showing that we're all over the place, but they can't hide it anymore, and they have to talk about things. So this article from the Herald, or Herald Scotland, which I'm going to drop in the chat for you guys if you want to save it and read it later. Basically, it's saying, okay, the big read, inside the QAnon cult as its contagion spreads to Scotland. The theme is the Rona of this year, so of course they're going to continue to act like we are a virus. And they're talking about how it's concerning. They put us in on this platform that what we're doing is such a problem. It's cancerous. There's nothing about it that's good. And we're radicalizing people, and I don't know, they might try to make it look like we're going to drive through a sea of people like we just talked about just a second ago. This is what they're having to do, but what I want to remind people is that this is somewhat of a badge of honor, because we are at this point to where they can't hide it anymore. They have to talk about us this much. I know it pained them very much about a month or a few weeks ago when they had to really talk about us in press conferences, because they had to talk about us. But now, conveniently, they don't really bring us up in pressers with the Kaylee or the president anymore, because they don't want it to grow that big, and they know that it hurts. So the fact that they're having to bring this up again and bring it up in other countries, in their eyes, it's painting it as such that we're spreading and it's a problem, and they need to put the genie back into the bottle. But as I see it, it's admitting defeat, because their whole point has been trying to keep us censored, keep us quiet, call us crazy. But then they have to now write articles saying that we're in Scotland and Germany and Finland and plenty of other places. And we've all seen the pictures of the flags in different communities, Ireland and whatnot. To me, this is admitting defeat entirely. Now, I don't know how long Red Pill is going to be going after this tree, but I'm going to go ahead and say this now. We've got about 6,800 people here hanging out with us, which is awesome. We've got Mark coming. For anybody that's asking, you haven't missed him. It'll be in about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. Mark will be joining us for a full hour. Very exciting times. We're going to ask him about what he thinks about the SCOTUS pick, the Roe v. Wade stuff. We're going to talk about how he feels about the political climate, things coming up in the next part of the election. But I also see we've got 2.5 thousand likes. If you guys don't mind turning that thumb blue, that would be great. 2.6 already. You guys already know the drill. That's great. And if you guys really, if you don't mind, please share this out at this time, because I know a lot of people like to hear Mark talk. It's good. He brings such words of encouragement. It's very much needed, especially with what Maria did this morning. If you guys don't mind sharing this out, that would be really, really cool. At least give people the opportunity to decide, because they can know about it.
Absolutely. All right. So, again, just driving the point home that we're not the problem. It's not the right. Okay, we're not the violent ones. We're not the ones who are, setting things on fire, destroying things. We're not attacking people. We're asking for a conversation to be had. Okay, we want intelligent debate. We want the freedom, our God-given freedom that was bestowed upon us in our Bill of Rights, to be able to speak our minds freely, okay? That is a part of being an American citizen, and that is something that they're trying to take away from us. But we want to be able to do that. But the left, they don't want us to be able to do that. They want to shut us down. And, we mentioned that the Amy Coney Barrett hearings are going to be taking place very soon. And obviously already the left is getting prepped to do what they did to Brett Kavanaugh. They want to shut it down. They want to make sure that President Trump is not able to get another Supreme Court pick, on the hopes that they're going to be able to push it back and force it into the next administration. Now, even if that happens, President Trump is still going to be president, and he's still going to be the one to choose. However, I do believe that Amy Coney Barrett will be chosen as the next Supreme Court justice, and Lindsey Graham has announced that those hearings are set to begin on October 12th. But the left is already preparing to have a series of massive demonstrations to try to stop that from happening. Now, Methods, I'm sure you've seen the mainstream media coverage about Amy Coney Barrett, and likening her to being in a cult as well.
Yeah, I mean that they're already going after her kids too, which is, it's despicable. I mean, it's very, very unfortunate that they're going that direction, and they're obviously, like we've said before, this is going after, this is going to really put faith, as far as like Christian faith, uh, on the front lines as a hot topic. They can't do the Kavanaugh thing. She's a mother of how many kids was it?
11.
7?
Well,
Sorry,
11 total. Some of them are adopted, it looks like.
Right, yeah, plenty of children, and she's even adopted, of a different race. That'd be really hard for them to make the argument about her being a white devil. So they have to go in a different direction, and her biggest thing that she's known about is her Catholic faith, or one of the biggest things. So this is going to really put it on the front lines, and I find it very interesting that this timeline leads us into what we've been talking about, and what Mark really drives home is this battle between good and evil, because we're seeing it. And like you said, that they're already planning protests. They're going to do what they did with Kavanaugh as far as in the streets are concerned. I know a lot of us are old enough to remember that going on, or what they were doing as soon as Trump was elected or around the inauguration. They have these organized people to go out and do these protests, and they organize them as such to where they have the innocent looking ones and stuff like that in front of the camera, and then they have the problem causers going on, and they want the right people arrested so they can have their sound bites. This is all staged. They all do this. They know, because they're activists. This is what they are been organizing to do for a while. So yeah, as far as attacking ACB is concerned, I really don't want to see it go as bad as it did for Kavanaugh, because that was disgusting. It still bothers me when I think about watching his wife cry.
Yeah.
Him crying was messy too, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that was definitely uncomfortable, yeah.
Yeah, but watching his wife go through that. Now imagine them doing that and different children in the room, which I imagine she wouldn't have them in there. But like having her husband have to sit there and watch his wife, who's just, to me is fine. And I know I've seen in the chat, there's rumors about her opinions about this, opinions about that. Well, it's the same thing as a rumor with Maria Bartiromo. Let's see her vote. Gorsuch has not voted in every direction that we wanted him to. No. Kavanaugh too, but it's fine. Let's see her do this and then make decisions as far as the actual votings. It's rumors about stuff like that, I'm not too sure about.
All right, now everybody in the chat has let me know that it's 7, not 11. I'm sorry, I must have seen the 7 and my bad eyesight gave me 11. But yes, 7, 5 of her own, 2 adopted from Haiti. Before we bring Mark in, because we're just about to do that, I need to do just a couple of quick thank yous. I need to say thank you to Gino from last night. He actually donated at the end of the show and I missed it. Rhonda says, great job as always, keeping us informed. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Also, thank you to... Pardon me. Longshot Mags 2. Just want to say thank you. Thank you very much for that. Linda says, love the show. And Mark, thanks for having him on. Felix says, ACB ruled in favor of lockdown orders. 7 out of 10 for me. That is definitely something that I need to do some research on. Also, Adam says, I just gave my pug a hug for you. You can't have a pug and not hug them. I'm sorry, but pugs are some of the cutest dogs out there. My neighbor had 2 pugs, and every time I came over, they would just be jumping all over me and kissing me nonstop. They're great dogs. Very, very lovable. And then real quick on PayPal, Malcolm says, hiya, buddy. I need to ask if you if you knew that the deep state are trying to create a race war where the opposing sides mutually destroy each other, leaving the political Zionists in control. For more info, please research Albert Pike, 33rd degree Mason. A big thanks for all that you and Methods do. Cheers, Malcolm. I can certainly see that as being a reality. I know a little bit about Albert Pike, but mostly just the fact that he was the 33rd degree Mason, and he wrote some books. So I'll look into it specifically. Hey Jude says, check new email. I sent you that picture of Biden with RBG. It was on today's episode of Zeducation. I forgot to attach it to the email, so I sent a second. I will definitely get that pulled up as we bring in Mark, and we can go ahead and look at it. EO2 Dave says the new TV stations will need people after the fall of the cabal. You already have a resume with the president's endorsement. I am so honored and blessed to be in this position, and I cannot wait to see if President Trump has a reaction to the fact that we're doing the event. If he tweeted something out about it, I would just swoon. I'd be dead. Troy, thank you very much, Troy. Also to Susan and John and Rita asks, have you read about Comey's brother Peter? Interesting news. Milne news.com. And who is James Comey's brother? Why does it matter? I am so happy that you got to attend Trump's rally. Lifelong memory. Yeah, it certainly was something that I will never forget. I'll see if I can pull up that article. And then Penny yesterday had sent something near the end of the program. So thank you, everyone, for those very generous donations. I certainly appreciate the support because I couldn't do this if it wasn't for you guys in so many different ways. Let's go ahead and bring in our guest for this evening. As we do on the last Sunday of every month until the election, that is going to be our friend Mark Taylor. And there he is, the man himself. Mark, what's going on, brother?
How you doing?
I'm doing good,
man. Glad
man.
to be on the show.
Yeah. So you were telling us in the pre-show that you're having a heck of a time, dude. What's going on?
Bro, listen, man, the war is real. You know, the enemy's not happy with what we're doing right now. We're making a lot of headway right now. There's a lot of things coming to pass. It's been prophesied in the past. Yeah, this is an exciting time to be alive, man. I mean, truthfully, this really is. This just shows me that we're over the target, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, so much over the target. I mean, so much of what's coming up between the next, how many days do we have before the election?
I think it's like 45 or something like that. Maybe 46, 47.
I think it's less than that. I mean, we're under 40. I think the chat will let us know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So look, I mean, look, there's going to be so much stuff come out right now. Between now and the election, that's going to boggle people's minds with the truth that's going to come out. The spirit of truth is about to be released on the earth like has never been seen before, man. Mm-hmm. Judgment on the wicked is here. It's not coming. It's here, folks. Yeah. I mean, look, this is not our apocalypse. This is their apocalypse right now. There's something great that God wants to do on the earth. It's happening. Are we going to have some hard times in some places? Yeah, we're probably going to have some battles here like we've been having. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be – it's not look, good times is not all about not having some war. We're going to have war. We're going to have battles in some places. I mean, in the spirit realm, sometimes this stuff is manifesting on the streets of the riots. We already knew this was coming 4.5 years ago. And so this is just something we're just going to have to pray and war over right now. But guess what? The good news is we will be victorious.
Absolutely. You know, I think that people are so used to the conveniences of modern life. You know, pretty much anything that you could want for is just available on a silver platter at any time. You know, you can just go online, have whatever you want delivered to you. You know, we are very, very blessed here in America. You know, I mean, it's fairly bountiful for just about everybody. Even if you are a socioeconomically disadvantaged person, you have easy access to basically anything that you could want or need. So when it comes down to these, you know, tough battles like we're having right now, I think people get discouraged because, you know, who wants to go through this kind of stuff? I mean, you know, at a very basic level, everybody wants it easy, you know, and I can't blame them. But, you know, this is the name of the game, you know, I mean, we are quite literally at war and there's no way around it. We have to just push through and see it to the end.
This is all about character and integrity building process right now. Think of character as the concrete foundation from which you build everything upon. This is why you see so many ministers collapse. Their ministries collapse because they never went through the character building process because it's too painful for most people. Mm-hmm. They think their gifting's more important than character. Mm-hmm. And it's not. God sees it the other way around. And it takes character to dig deep in these times. Look, we can't have a victory, brother, without a battle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We have to have a war before we can have a victory.
Yeah.
So right now, you know, Q has said something which is very spot on. He said, you know, sometimes you can tell people stuff and they may believe you. But when someone lives it out, when they experience it firsthand, whether it's the hurt, whether it's the character building process like we're going through right now, it's to wake people up. Yes, those of us who have been awake a little longer than most people have that are just now waking up, yeah, we're getting battle weary. I'm not going to lie to you. There's people that are getting battle weary out there right now. Mm-hmm. But you know, look, the bottom line is that we have to hang in there. This is a time we got to dig deep as warriors, especially like people like myself and you and methods on the front lines like this that get attacked every day by doing this. You know, this is all part of that building process. This is all about helping people awaken themselves. Like, this is the great awakening, but this is also the great separating. And this is what people don't understand. God's separating the wheat from the chaff right now. Yeah. And so, look, he's even tightened my circle. And I've had to cut some ties with people. I saw and that. So, So, you know, look, it happens. It's going to happen because God's only going to want those with the purest of heart, with the purest of intentions in this battle. That's the only way we're going to win this. That's the only way we're going to take ground and hold ground for the kingdom of God right now.
No, you're right on point. You know, I mean, you know, to that point, I thought for many years that, you know, I had, you know, become the person that I was going to be. You know, I had, you know, matured and, you know, this was who I was in adulthood. But, you know, I hadn't truly gone through that character building process. You know, I mean, I had a series of trials and errors, you know, but like before I went on this journey, I mean, I quite literally was brought to hell and back, you know, I mean, I scraped rock bottom. I got as low as you possibly could, and I had to rebuild myself from the ground up. And I know that if I hadn't gone through that experience, there's absolutely no way that I could be here and maintain this sunny disposition that I have, you know, I mean, being able to look for the future and understand the type of journey that we're on.
Absolutely. And so, you know, when you go through this character building process, I want to read something here because I tweeted this out. It was probably a few days ago, a week ago or something like that. But I mean, look, when you're going through the character building process, there's always going to be things that's going to come up that's going to test your faith, that's going to burn the dross out of you, if you will, like the Bible talks about, right? Yeah. So this is what I tweeted out on September 15th. I said, sometimes man will start off on a righteous path serving the Lord. Then at some point, a man's pride enters in and deviates from the path the Lord set before him. The Lord will lovingly correct. When man isn't willing, the Lord will step aside and allow man to serve his own will. That's what you're seeing right now. That's what you're seeing all over the earth right now, is man is serving his own will and not God's will. The problem is like, I'll give you for instance, like if we start praying something for something, what I do is I sit down before the Lord and I ask him, Lord, what do you want me to pray about? Yeah. Not what I think I should pray about. There's a difference, because if I say what I'm thinking, it's my will. So who are we serving? You see what I'm saying? Are we serving man, or are we serving the Lord? So look, there's a lot going on right now. We just had RBG just died. I know you guys. I don't know if you guys have been talking about this earlier in the program, but it was. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine for a second here. Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to February 24th, 2016, when the Lord gave us that prophecy about the Supreme Court, and He said that there will be 5 on the Supreme Court. 1 will die, 1 will retire, and 3 would be caught in a scandal. Now, here's what I want to tell people to be careful with the prophetic, is that sometimes we rehearse this movie in our head thinking it's going to come to pass a certain way, when in fact it's not that way at all. Yeah. It's not until it actually comes to pass that we go, oh, that's how that came to pass. So can you imagine removing 3 Supreme Court justices, especially right now in this time, for a scandal? It would start a civil war. Yeah. So what, are they going to come down with a funky disease and die, or are they going to just retire out? We may never know what the scandal was, but either way, we just know God's going to get 5. He said He's going to reform the court. And when He reforms the court, Roe versus Wade will come down. Yeah. Now we're at the 3rd judge. And so let's go back to, let's move forward a little bit. 2.5 weeks ago, Trump comes out with a new list of Supreme Court justices, which is not coincidence. Yep. He knew this was coming. And so 2 weeks later, RBG has announced that she's dead. The next Monday, the Monday after that, they come out and say, hey, we're releasing a new list of Epstein names that's going to make the last list look like a Post-it note. Yep. So there's a lot of exciting things that's happening. God's reforming the court.
Tell me if you guys can hear me. Speaking of spiritual warfare, working on getting Methods and Mark back right now, guys. I'll be right here. Just got to send the link back out to Mark. If you guys wouldn't mind, please share the stream again. Let people know it's back up. They completely cut my internet. Everything stopped working all at once. My router, my Wi-Fi, my computer. I had to reboot everything. And I know that I needed to restart the stream. It was more than just restarting the stream, guys. All right, I'm just waiting for Methods and Mark to join. All right, guys, well, for the time being, it is only me. So we're just waiting for Methods and Mark to get back in on the action. Actually, let me go to this view so that you guys can see your chats. Yeah, Deep State Cabal at work. Very strange, you know, normally maybe something might go wrong with the computer, maybe something might go wrong with Zoom, but Zoom stopped working, my internet stopped working, my computer stopped working, everything just mysteriously shut down all at once, and so I had to restart everything in my house. You know, it was like I had a power surge or something like that. But yeah, speaking of spiritual warfare, there it is in action, man.
Yeah,
if you had any compunctions about whether or not this stuff is real, you guys, you just saw it happening right there.
Yep. And this is what I've been dealing with all night and for the last 3 weeks and stuff like this, man. It just look, we were over the target talking about the Supreme Court and abortion being Baal's food source that God is going to take away. Look, and here's the warning I need to put out to people. When you're out and about, who was it? One of the football stars here today had his, was it grandkid or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Almost, what was it? Kidnapped. Joe Montana.
Yes.
John Montana and his wife fight grandchild away from attempted kidnapper. Why is that happening, brother? It's happening everywhere right now. It's simply because the deep state, the elites, their supply line is running dry. So now they're having to literally go out in broad daylight and grab people, whether it's kids, women. So right now, until this mess gets cleaned up, everybody needs to keep their head on a swivel and keep your kids close. If you're not watching your kids, watch your kids right now, because these guys are not playing games right now.
No, I mean, what a scary proposition. You know, I don't know much about that story other than that he and his wife were out with their grandchild and somebody just tried to snatch him in broad daylight. Methods, do you know anything about that?
Something about went straight into his house.
Into his house.
As I understand it, I don't read much further into it. Maybe the chat can let us know. But Mark's right. I mean, the stuff that we were talking about before, you know, things, you know, coincidentally went down, air quotes. I don't want to talk about. That's getting into that world of sinister carnal evil, and that's what they've been hiding behind. And you could see it in the fear of ACB getting in, following, you know, the Constitution and having her religious beliefs. That's why they have the religious beliefs as the attacking talking point about her.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely, bro. And look, the fear of God is getting put into these guys right now because, look, they know their time is over. They know they've lost the battle. Some of them don't realize they've lost the battle. A lot of them do. But this is their death roll. It's not just when I like using when you catch a gator, he does a death roll. That's the most dangerous part when you catch him, because he's got nothing to lose at that point. He knows he's been caught, but he's going to do everything he can to get out of it. It doesn't mean it's not going to be a fight. Yes, we have won this war, but we still have to fight it through. We still have to fight this battle through.
And it's not going to stop after November 3rd. You know, I mean, even if we win this greater battle, I mean, something tells me that this is going to continue on. I mean, we've got a long fight ahead of us, guys. You know, I mean, this is a global transnational criminal network in addition to the spiritual aspect of it. So, I mean, it's going to be one after another, and we're just going to have to keep going on it.
Absolutely, man.
I was just going to say, you know, with the response to Amy Coney Barrett by the mainstream media, did you happen to see this article posted on Huffington Post? A suburban housewife and professional lawyer, mother of three, a soccer mom, apparently with the death of RBG, now proclaiming her allegiance to the Satanic Temple. RBG dies, and she suddenly realized she's a Satanist because the views of Satanists line up with the views of the left.
Well, listen, here's the thing about RBG. We're all going to leave a legacy when we leave this earth. And what you have to ask yourself is, what am I going to leave for others to say about me? Mm-hmm. Or to what have I done? What was my legacy that I'm going to leave on this earth? People could say she was a great lady, or she was a pioneer or a champion, all they want to. She was a pioneer and a champion for the kingdom of darkness. I'm just going to tell it like it is, period. She worked for the dark side. She tried to bring in, what was her dissertation or the paper she wrote? She was trying to bring in legal consent for sex for age of 12.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pedophilia, guys. She worked for the dark side, period. So this lady was a pioneer for the dark side. But when you look, we've removed 2 Supreme Court justices right now, and I had been warning about this, that when RBG goes, it would be a fight. So we're probably going to have some stuff on the street a little bit, because we've already got stuff on the street as it is right now.
Right.
It's just going to fuel things, right? So, but you have to remember, the 2 justices that we removed, Kennedy was kind of a swing vote, but he kind of swung more towards conservative sometimes, you know what I mean? So it was a big deal that we replaced him, but not as big as this one. This is the biggest one on the court that we could have replaced, and Amy Coney Barrett is going to be the one to replace her, praise God. And so we're removing the darkness, and we're bringing in the light right now. The enemy's not liking it. When you introduce dark or light into the darkness, you're going to get manifestations. This is what's happening on the earth right now. We're introducing light into the darkness. It's agitating the demonic. They can't take it, and they start manifesting, whichever way it is, on the street, in the grocery stores, whatever it is. And so this is why you're seeing people acting nuts right now. This is why you're seeing even family members right now, you know, this great separating. It's a great awakening, but it's also the great separating we talked about. I get the emails all the time. I know you guys probably do. You know, hey, my wife won't talk to me. My sister or this person in my family, they're wanting to leave, or they're wanting to break up. Or I've had people even say divorce them over this mess, over a political disagreement. It's like there's this thing in the spirit, if you will. When Trump became president, we crossed this prophetic timeline, if you will, that activated everything that was not of God, every throne in someone's soul. Everyone has thrones in their soul. And when you don't submit those totally to the Lord Jesus Christ, they're going to get activated. That means they're being controlled by something else. So it activates these thrones in your soul. And so if this person is not pure, if they've not been submitted to Jesus Christ somewhere, it's going to come out, guys.
Absolutely.
God is exposing every single piece of corruption in every man, woman, and child on this planet right now. And it's coming out, and it can get ugly.
Now, you know, specifically thinking of that demonic control, have you seen the preponderance of reports of rioters, when they're getting arrested, suddenly start seizing up and having some type of seizure, or almost like there's a demon that doesn't want to be taken by the police? I mean, there's so many of them.
That and the other thing, I pay attention to this also, because there's something else that I took before my friend Gina Phillips, who's the SRA, MK Ultra, deliverance minister and counselor. She's a certified counselor, right? She deals with these guys every single day. And I brought this to her, and I haven't talked to her since, because she was going to look into it for me. What I've noticed also is because they use trauma to do their mind control with, right?
Yeah.
They have it down to a fine art. Gina will tell you this. She says their technology's light years beyond what we have, what we see right now. They can do it in an hour. They fragment your soul into 100 pieces, literally. And each piece is separated by a dissociative amnesic wall, so the other piece doesn't know what the other one's doing. So think of it as like 100 different computer programs running in that person.
Yeah.
So they could literally code in an assassination code, and they go out and you see these school shootings. They don't even know they've done it. Now, here's the thing I've noticed. Now, you talk about when the cops catch them, something happens, right? So think of they traumatize the person first, then they do the mind control. But what I've noticed on 2 different shootings now that I've seen on video, the second these guys that they're aggressive and you see the mind control coming out, like Gina's talking about, the manifestation, and the second that bullet hits the trauma, it deactivates the programming and they go back to being their normal self.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that in some of the videos. I've seen this now, 2 different shootings now. I've seen this where because again, the trauma activates it, and the trauma is like it's deactivating it and bringing back the normal person again. If that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense, you know. And I mean, this is like frequently what'll happen is they'll commit the act, whatever it is, and be very vicious and in the moment. And then as soon as they've done whatever they need to do, they just sit down and and passively wait for the police to pick them up. You think back to I think the assassination of John Lennon. John Mark Chapman just sat down and read Catcher in the Rye. I mean, who's going to commit a crime like that and just sit around and wait for the police to come? Hold you dumb. I don't know what I did.
When you think about how they code in this stuff, and Gina can explain this better than I can. I don't want to get into her territory.
She's going to come on the show. Don't worry.
yeah, good. So, when you think about it, when they code this in, it's like when someone sits on a court and they say, "Well, I don't remember doing that." That's because they don't.
Yeah.
That's because they've been mind controlled. They've already completed their mission, if you will. They've been activated, and of course, we all know Hillary Clinton and all these guys, James Comey. They've been putting code out on Twitter, and yes, folks, so does Kanye West. And this is the way I like to explain Kanye. I've told people, be careful with Kanye. Mm-hmm. There's a part of Kanye that wants to serve the Lord, and it's like Gina explained it the best. There's one piece of him, that fragment wants to serve Christ, and he wants to break free of his programming, but the other 99 pieces are still running in the background, serving the dark side at night. And if you'll go to Kanye's Twitter thread, you'll see the codes that he's putting out. He's serving Jesus in one aspect, and then he's putting code out for the Illuminati code on the other aspect.
Yeah.
So, you just have to be careful with these guys. There's pastors are doing the same thing, brother. Some of these big name pastors. That's why a lot of these guys, you can't trust them right now because they're Illuminati driven. They get their 4 a.m. talking points just like the news does.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, think about how they immediately, like recently, just started coming after this movement and saying that it's satanic. They call this like digital demons and all those things. Yeah. But also on this point about the Supreme Court with RGB. Did you catch that clip of when Trump and was standing there in front of her casket when lying in wake, and you could hear them screaming in the background,
gnashing of teeth.
It didn't sound like screaming of protesters, right?
No.
I had people asking me if it was fake.
No,
it reminded me of the Kavanaugh hearing when they were doing the same screaming outside. It's like if we wanted to hear a soundtrack of hell.
That's it.
That's what it would sound like. Yep. And that's I totally agree with you. We're watching the veil kind of, be lifted and seeing the true battle behind things. That's why I find that it's very appropriate for the circumstance that they're attacking ACB over her religious beliefs, because that's really the battle here.
Well,
and go ahead.
Yeah. When going back to that segment for a second, where you're talking about the crowd was manifesting. Those were demonic manifestations from that crowd. And here's if there's a good part about this, is that even those that aren't believers can see that and say, okay, something's not right here. What is wrong with this? That's part of the awakening, guys. When people start experiencing this with their own eyes and ears and are seeing these manifestations, they know this is not right. So what is it? That's part of the awakening process for these people. And now they're going to say, okay, there is something to this here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
God bless President Trump and Melania for having to sit there and endure that garbage of what was supposed to be a solemn moment out of respect from a president to a Supreme Court justice, even though we didn't agree with her, but it should have been a solemn moment. And then you had these demons manifesting in the background.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine anybody on the right attending a funeral, for someone anybody on the left attending a funeral for someone on the right like that, offering their condolences. I mean, when they told President Trump on the tarmac as he's getting off the Air Force One to go to the rally, he seemed genuinely surprised, and, he said some kind words about her. Right. I mean, Pelosi wakes up in the morning and, can't wait to get in front of a camera to defame the president, and not to to mention the fact that everything they say about him is a projection of their own crimes, their own sins, the things that they themselves are doing on a daily basis.
Right. And so I want to transition to something else if you don't mind here real quick.
Please,
because
go ahead.
staying on the Supreme Court now. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine here for a second again. Who was the one that put RBG on the court?
Bill Clinton.
Did Bill put her on there, or was it actually Hillary? It was probably Hillary.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it was actually reported that he went off the advice of Hillary of why he picked her.
She was the president. He wasn't, for the most part. I mean, come on, we all know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she put her on there to begin with. Well, here's the good news: one, Hillary's not the president, and Loretta Lynch is not a Supreme Court justice, because that's what would have happened. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
If God hadn't intervened. So, but here's the thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but things have shifted. We've had enough truth come out now to this point where things are beginning to shift in favor of the Patriots. Now, it's always been in favor, but the problem is we live in this microwave society where we got to have everything right here at our fingertips right now, and everybody wants everything right now. We had to have certain assets in place. But here's what I'm seeing the shift with. I don't know if you guys have noticed in the last two or three rallies that Trump has had, because I tweeted this out 10 hours ago. I said, I'm hearing and seeing the Patriots at the Trump rallies have started chanting, "Lock him up."
Yes.
Instead of her.
Yes.
And meaning Barack Hussein Obama. This is the people crying out for justice to their president. Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton don't sleep very well, as they shouldn't, because justice is here and justice will be served. God told us in 2015 with these prophecies that he gave me that Hillary and Bill Clinton were going to go down, and that Obama was going to be ripped and stripped of the title of president. Now, the only way I know to do that is to charge him with treason and arrest him and charge him with treason.
Yep.
Now, some people don't think that's coming. Listen, I believe it's coming, brother. I know it's coming because God already said it's coming, number one. But the problem is, the thing is this, is people need to be getting excited right now because Trump's even going along with it. He knows this is coming. Justice is, in fact, coming. This man is going to go to prison. He will be charged with treason. He will be ripped and stripped of the presidency. Now, here's my question for everybody, is when he's ripped and stripped of the presidency, right, that null and voids everything he's done. Does that include the 2 Supreme Court justices?
That would certainly be an interesting thing if it did. I mean, I can't see a world where it wouldn't. I mean, if it's going to strip everything else, I mean, why protect only the Supreme Court justices?
If it nulls and voids everything, so I don't know. So, but look, he is going to go to prison. People don't think it's going to happen. Look, they have arrested tens upon tens of thousands globally, pedophiles. You name it. The DOJ has hammered these guys, and and other countries have hammered them. But what everybody's waiting for are the big fish.
Yes.
Clinton's, Obama, they want to see him perp walked on national television. Well, who doesn't, man? It's coming, but we just have to hang in there right now. It's coming.
Right. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you think about what the president's got his talking points that he wants to hit at every rally, right?
Right.
You kind of notice the trend there. He always makes sure to talk about what happened to him, the Spygate stuff and things going on there. Maybe some other things that are questionable when it comes to Biden and Obama's choices, but he always has 2 things to say. They got caught. And he also says, let's see what happens. And that plays into Mark's point here that he keeps bringing this up and he knows his base wants it. His best thing to do, if it's not going to happen, or if he knows, is to not talk about it as much. He keeps driving that point home.
Yep.
That anytime any news breaks that goes on with Spygate, it always gets brought back around to Obama knew about it. And at the very least, they'll say Obama knew about it. Now, we all know he probably facilitated it, if not all of it, most of it. That's the problem that we have here, is that we have to look in the future, I guess, in our minds and say, all right, let's look past all the arrests, everything that happened. We've seen the perp walks, all that stuff. Let's now look back at how everything played out. And I bet you it'll make sense to most of us, if not all of us, that it needed to play out this way.
Yeah. Well, let me throw something else out here real quick. Let's, I'm not prophesying this. I'm just throwing this out as a question. So the other point, you bring up a good point there, Methods, is that the president keeps driving home another point. And I don't know if anybody else has picked up on this. He keeps bringing up what would happen with what would the liberals think if I got a 3rd term?
Yep.
Has anybody noticed that?
Yeah, we've seen the memes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It's been a number of occasions, and
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's a legitimate question or if he's just doing it to rile up the left. But what do you think?
Brother, this man is always 10 steps ahead of everyone. Now, here's what I want to point out. I don't know if anybody else caught this in Michigan at the rally. He said, "There's something coming. It's so big, nobody knows what it is." And he says, "I've already signed it. It's a done deal, and it goes into effect January the 1st.
Ooh, interesting.
And there's no stopping it." He said, "So you better hope I get reelected." And I went, whoa. Now, here's my theory. I could be wrong, totally wrong. I'm not prophesying this. This is just my humble opinion, right?
Okay.
Has he dissolved the corporation?
Ooh, that would
Has
be the one.
he signed off on the Act of 1871? The corporation's been dissolved, which now means he's no longer the CEO of the corporation. He was never president of the United States. So he was president of the United States, the Constitution, right? If he's dissolved the corporation, does that mean, I'm asking this question, does that mean that we go back to the organic Constitution, which is the United States for America?
Yes.
And now he becomes the president for 2 terms under the president for America.
Oh, that
United
would be
States for
so
America.
Like that would be the way to do it.
I'm just throwing it out there, bro.
Hey,
Man.
Mark, don't threaten us with a good time, man. I'm telling you.
That would be it. I mean, honestly, that would be a legitimate way to do it. 100%.
He only served 1 term as CEO of the corporation.
Yeah, yeah.
So if he's dissolved the corporation, he now gets 2 terms as president under the Constitution for the United States for America.
Man, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there for discussion here, guys.
I mean, I can see it happening. I can legitimately see it happening. So definitely something for us to look for. I got to look for that clip now. I went to a rally last week in Ohio, and I saw him speaking it was near Toledo. It was an airfield. I can't remember where it was. But a very exciting time. It was my first rally ever. The atmosphere is practically electric. It was very well coordinated. I mean, they get people in, thousands of people there. But even with all those people, everybody is moving, constantly. They have every single seat filled. They made sure that everybody was taken care of. They wanted to make sure that, once the president got there, you couldn't have your phones out. You couldn't get up and use the bathroom. So they gave everybody an opportunity to go get all their stuff taken care of before he arrived. And then once he got there, it was just great, classic Trump. And then I don't know if you listened to the first part of the program, Mark, but my buddy JR and I are doing an event on Tuesday for the debate. We're calling it a MAGA meetup, and it's also going to be in Ohio in Port Clinton. But something really cool happened. Before he came for the rally last week, he had heard about us doing the meetup, and Secret Service contacted JR and helped us get VIP passes for that rally. And now, because he learned about it, they have dubbed it a Trump victory event, which makes it an officially sanctioned Trump, sanctioned event, basically. So campaign representatives are going to be there for the event, and I'm really hoping he's going to tweet something out about it, or even, if he just said, hey, great job, Zach and JR, I would probably die.
Hey, listen, that's fantastic. Congratulations to you guys, man. I mean, for crying out loud. Look, this is all. Look, and this is what I want to tell people. It's like, this is not about you. This is not about Mark Taylor. This is about all of America and the entire earth right here. This is what we're trying to rescue right now at this point. This is not a competition about numbers. It's not a competition about who's got the biggest crowd, as far as us are concerned here, you know what I mean? This is about the movement. This is about God moving upon the earth right here, man.
Right.
There's no spirit of competition in the kingdom of God. Mm-hmm. I'll just put that out there right now. This is what too many of these mega pastors are about, is competition.
Exactly. And we've watched over the last several years of this movement growing, and it's been exciting to watch happen when we see people start a channel for the first time, and then they end up, getting to a certain place, and that's fine. We want to see this grow.
Absolutely.
And watching, because like you brought up at the beginning of the show, like watching these like growing pains happen, and we're building our character, as you were talking about. Just watching everybody grow together has just been incredible. And the only way I can give credit to how that happened is God's hand involved in it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Real quick, let me just say thank you to White Hat. I didn't get to read this earlier. He said, "Hey, Red, awesome news about the get-together, bud. Proud of you. Please tell Mark I appreciate him, and a lot of what I do and say in my streams is is influenced by him. God wins. Much love, Patriots, and then also much love to Methods." Yes, White Hat, big friend of the channel. Love that guy, so thank you so much for that, White Hat. Appreciate it. Susan says that she's never been more proud of you, brother. Thank you so much. I am honored and blessed to be able to be here to help carry this message. President Trump is, he is a man truly for this time. America and this entire world has been through so much, and for him to be working, being blessed by God to be here and to help essentially unenslave mankind. I mean, there's not a more appropriate time or place. Also, thank you to Janet. Thank you very much, Janet. I appreciate that. And then Felix said, "Can you say hi to my daughter, Alexis?" Hi, Alexis. Thank you so much for watching with your dad, Felix. We're glad to have you here. And Real Red Pill Girlfriend just got back, so if you hear muffin barking, then that's what that's about. Also, thank you to Andrew and ZooQ. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate that. To your point about numbers, it's not a popularity contest.
That's right.
If I had 10 people tuning in, it would be just as exciting for me to be able to be here and to share this information with people. There's a community that we've built here. There are certain people that we've kind of gravitated to, and it's because we vibe. We're talking about things, we see things in a certain way, and we get excited about certain things. There have been plenty of trolls here in the chat tonight. If you don't, if you're not interested about what we're talking about tonight, then you guys can take off. But if this resonates with you and you understand where we're coming from, then we're proud and happy to have you here. It's a wonderful thing. And Mark, we're really lucky that you've agreed to continue on with us, up until the election. Now, I do want to announce that our last pre-election show is not going to be the last Sunday in October. It's actually going to be that first Sunday in November. It's just so that way we get it right before the election. So it'll be, I believe, is that November 1st, Methods?
Yeah, that'll be the first, and we wanted to do that because a lot of people that say this, and I'll speak for myself even. These shows here with Mark definitely re-energize and help us through all this battle and war that we've been talking about tonight. And what better way than 48 hours before the election, us doing this again and hanging out and having this conversation. So we figured it would be best to go ahead and push it to that point.
Sure, absolutely, man. Look, it's an honor to be on here with you guys. You know what I mean? Look, we're all in this battle together, man. We're in this foxhole together. It's the main thing is that we just don't turn and shoot one another. Yeah, that's what a lot of the my problem is never with the sinners. Mm-hmm. My problem is always with the Christians. It seems like it's just like that's where I get attacked the most. It's usually the religious spirits that come after me the most. Or Jezebel doesn't care for me either, but
right.
I've been really surprised by that. It's something that you've talked about before, but I don't know, maybe because that's just not my character, I don't go around and look at people and try to, drop them down a peg, or, even if I disagree with people, I want to have a conversation about it. But it is surprising to me, how vicious people can be. And I don't know if it's a symptom of, the world that we live in today. People are quicker to jump to something like that. Obviously, anonymity on the internet allows people, a certain, razor sharp edge to the things that they say, or if it's, I don't know, something more.
Yeah. Look, the thing is this, is that we still have to be careful who you follow. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because right now we've got trolls, we've got shills, we've got all kinds of stuff out there. The enemy's trying to infiltrate everywhere he possibly can. The Lord told me 6 months ago, he told me three things, actually. He said, keep the circle tight, don't allow anyone new in, which I've done that. I've had to actually dwindle my circle down. Mm-hmm. He said, the hordes of chaos are being released. We've seen that on the streets. We've seen it everywhere. And he said, Satan's pastors have been activated. Now, what did he mean by that? Satan's pastors have been activated is because I've been on this show many times saying that these mega churches and places like this, and even Trump's spiritual advisory board, I'm not saying all of them, a lot of them are Illuminati driven. And people just don't want to believe that for some reason. It's like true. It's like what Q said one time, that, it's those you trust the most. I think it's because all of us have had some type of programming. We've had some type of brainwashing, if you will, where we just don't want to go there in our minds that some pastor, some big name pastor, some powerful guy or girl would be into child trafficking, would be into satanic ritual abuse, or this stuff would be going on in a church somewhere. Folks, it's happening. It's happening all over the globe. Now, let me give you another instance for this, all right? Be careful who you follow. Everybody was sending me this stuff about the prayer and repentance going down at the National Mall. Now, this was great. Don't get me wrong. I think it's fantastic. People were out there praying. They were repenting. But they were getting caught up with these big names that were out there. Now, here's what I learned about the big names, all right? God usually sends me in somewhere, and that's one of my anointings. My intercessor swears up and down that's one of my anointings, that God will send me in someplace, and if there's any character and integrity issues, it's going to come out. And so he sent me into the Christian television ministry. He sent me into the movie industry, which, by the way, the Trump prophecies, I keep forgetting to mention this, they're going to replay the movie October 8th at select theaters. They can go to the TrumpProphecyMovie.com and see what's playing around them. And so he sent me into the movie industry. He has sent me into the book industry, all these things, right? And we were, case in point, let's go in the Wayback Machine here. Back into 2016 again, 90 days before the Trump election, we were doing a prayer call. And every day, it was for 15 minutes, and we were doing a prayer call for the election. Now, the biggest names you can think of were on that call. And we got halfway through this, towards the election, and the Lord started speaking to me. And I started noticing a pattern. Nobody was repenting. These were the biggest names. And if they did, it was like a general type of repentance. They would say, Lord, forgive us for our sins, and that's be it. We repent for our sins. And the Lord said, that's not going to cut it. And he says, you need to do target-focused prayer, target-focused repentance. He says, these guys are not repenting in public like this because of their arrogance, their pride and their arrogance. Ego. Because they don't want, see, it's all about optics. They don't want to project to someone that they're an imperfect vessel and that they have to repent for something that might make them look bad. Mm-hmm. Follow me?
Yeah.
So the Lord says, I want you to do target-focused repentance and target-focused prayers. And basically, I'm going to show you how this works. He says, think of your prayers and repentance like a laser-guided bomb. Laser designate the target and hit the target. Focus on the target, right? Mm-hmm. Specifically. So I did that. I sat down for like 2 days. I wrote out this prayer because they wanted me to stand in for the firefighters on 9/11 before the election. Mm-hmm. I did that. I went before, I got on a call. I target focused. I started off with repentance because repentance always disarms the enemy, takes the legal right away from the enemy first. Then you go into your warfare, right? So I did that. I asked the Lord, what do you want me to repent and pray for? Wrote it down. I did this through the call. I said, I decreed that time is up for the corrupt, that all this exposure would take place. We hung up the phone at like 9:17 in the morning, 9:18 in the morning. It was somewhere, somebody can fact check me on this. Right around 20 minutes later, Hillary Clinton, for the first time, collapsed for everyone to see, for the entire world to see, and she lost her shoe. This was prophetic. That was a prophetic occurrence that said she's going to collapse and she will lose her peace. Mm-hmm. Now, that was a sign from the Lord saying, this is what happens when you do target focused repentance and prayer. I don't want people to get caught up into thinking just because they have a big name that they have this power and authority, because it's further from the case, especially if they're working for the dark side. I know people that nobody even knows of, that don't have a platform, let's say, that have more power and authority in the spirit realm than some big name person on TV, or it's written 100 books.
Sure. So
please, people, don't get caught up in that. God's done with the PhDs of the world. You got a PhD, a BS degree. Yeah, you got a BS degree, all right. It's a BS. Okay? But the fact of the matter is God's done with it. Who did Jesus pick to fight for him, to spread his gospel? It was the everyday common person, guys. Mm-hmm. That's who God is choosing in this hour, in this so-called patriotic movement. Mm-hmm. Is it really a patriotic movement, or is the spirit of Elijah arising on the earth? Mm-hmm. And if it is, which I already know this is because God is exposing the prophets of Baal right now. Get ready for YouTube cut off.
Right.
So, look, when the spirit of Elijah rises up, It's Jezebel, right? Jezebel and her prophets of Baal, who she controls, the mega churches, all these different big ministries, this, that, and the other. This is who God is exposing. These 501c3s that I've been screaming for people to get out of, these are going to be known. Who's been attacking Trump? How many ministers have we had come out and attack Trump? They signed a huge list. It was like, I don't know how many it was. I can't remember who was on the list. It was like over a ton of them. There was a ton of them on the list that they were attacking Trump and say they were going to Biden. How can you call yourself a Christian and support the kingdom of darkness at the same time? I'll tell you how. It's because they've been activated.
Exactly. Yeah.
They've been activated through the Illuminati, who controls these guys and their handlers. That's how.
And,
That's always a red flag, guys. You see any pastor right now that's attacking Trump, chances are they've been activated. That should be a red flag for you right now. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, Methods, you go ahead. I think we were probably going to the same point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just want to tie it into our posts that we get from our favorite Anon, that it's that whole those you are taught to trust the most. We're now getting into that world because they had many different layers of your lives had to have certain people put in place for them to be able to take over the world and do it quietly and kind of install the evil that they have in place. And what we're seeing now with, like Mark said, they're not using people with the PhDs or the resumes of this world. It's people like Red Bill and I that are using computers at our desk in our houses. And that's just a small comparison. There's plenty out there that are doing the work that should have been done by these people that we're led to believe have genuine hearts and are doing things for God.
That's right. And look, Jesus chose the common person. He said, go out and preach what? He didn't say preach an apocalyptic message, doom and gloom. He said, go out and preach the good news. This is what the Lord said to do for the common man. Look, you know what people need to do? Let me tell you what people need to do. They need to take this and they need to put it down for a while. They really do. You know why? It's because the PhDs, the religious spirits, the pharisaical spirits, because I know people that can quote that Bible from cover to cover, and they're the most prideful, arrogant people you will ever meet. It creates a spiritual arrogance, if you will. People need to put the written word down for a little bit and spend time with the living word, Jesus himself. And look, religion is designed to control you.
Yes.
It's designed to manipulate and control you. Jesus came to set the captives free. The last thing religion wants is for you to have a free think freely. You to be a free thinker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they know you're going to break out of that matrix. They don't want you out of the matrix. They want you inside of it. That's the only place they can control you. Now, I'm not coming against the Bible. Please don't misunderstand me. You need to know your Bible. We need to spend time in the written word, but people need to spend time with the living word, Jesus himself, because it creates a spiritual arrogance. It's that PhD mentality that God is finished with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I mean, to the point about the good news, I mean, that's what we try to do here on this channel. I mean, people might accuse us occasionally of preaching hopium, but, right. I mean, the alternative, what is it? Doomium? I mean, I'm not trying to, people already know how terrible the world is. People already know, what's happened and, the crimes of these people. We can talk about this stuff, but still look towards the future with that hopeful, outlook. I just need to say thank you to Hey Jude. She sent that picture of Joe Biden sniffing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I wanted to show it. So there it is. Let me just make sure that Mark and Methods can go ahead and see this too, you guys. All right, so there you go. I wouldn't have believed that it existed if people didn't tell me that it was true. So there you go. It is real. Joe Biden and Ruth Bader Ginsburg having a quiet moment. So let's go ahead and bring it back, and here we are. All right, you guys, we are reaching the end of the program. I'm sorry about the shortened time span tonight. If they hadn't gone after the internet connection, we would have had more time. But thank you very much, Hey Jude. I appreciate that. Thanks for sending that over. All right, so Mark, by the time that we speak next, it's going to be just a mere 48 hours away from the election. What are anything that you're sensing in this this short 40 what did we say it was 37 days 45 days something like that?
How many was it, Methods?
It was under 4. We asked the audience and we got anywhere from 35 to 38, and I didn't get out a calculator, so we're under 40 days now.
Well, look, all I can tell people right now is don't put your seatbelt on, put your racing harness on, because things are going to accelerate at a point that's just going to be mind-boggling at this point. He's talking about Section 230. which I hope and pray that they, we can get this social media thing taken care of, where we're no longer suppressed. Because how are you going to get the truth out when we're being suppressed? I've been saying that all along. He's got to get a hold of social media and get a hold of the voters and electoral fraud. Those are the two things he's got to do, and it looks like he's trying to do both. So hopefully we can get some of this done before the election. So just for everyone, just be encouraged. Don't listen to the mainstream media. Forget the fake polls, for crying out loud. Hillary Clinton had a 96% chance she was going to be president. Look what happened. We all know the polls are fake. So just listen to the president, what he's saying. Follow him. Look, we're going to be victorious no matter what. But we're going to have a fight before we get there. October is going to be pretty much lit, guys. I'm not going to down it here. Yeah. I'm just going to be honest. We just need to be prepared, for whatever.
I think you're 100% right. John on PayPal says, Mark, what about 7.5 years for Trump? Is it due for change?
7.5 years for Trump. What does he mean?
I don't know. I was hoping that was going to be a reference for something.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what he means.
All right, John. Yeah, sorry, buddy. If you're in the chat, go ahead and put that in there. We had quite the recovery here. We went from over 9,000 people down to 2,500 with that internet hiccup, and now we're back up to 9,700 with 5,200 likes. You guys, please go ahead and leave a like. Share this stream before you go. Mark, once again, buddy, thank you so much for joining us for another exciting episode. I love having you on the show. You're one of my favorite people. You are a dear friend, and I appreciate all the work that you do. And I hope that you never let those people who, want to talk smack about you or, your connection to God, because you're one of the most honest and, honestly spiritually grounded people that I've ever met. And I'm so glad that I call you a friend.
Yeah, listen, I love you guys both, man. I'd do anything for you guys. You need me anytime, pray for you, whatever you need, man. I'm here, and it's an honor to be on your show. It really is. Just, we're just all here in the same foxhole together, man.
Yep.
We're all on the same team here.
Totally. All right, so we should make sure that everybody knows that I am going to be off tomorrow, and then we're not going to have Occam's Razor or the regular Red Pill News on Tuesday. The stream for the debate, whether it happens or not, is going to start at 7 p.m. The event itself is going to be starting at 6, so if you guys are planning on coming, just be there at 6. It's in Port Clinton, Ohio. You can reach out to J.R. Majewski on Twitter, and he can send you the address directly. There is going to be parking on site. There will be food. There will be entertainment, obviously. We're going to be streaming the debate itself. I'm going to be doing some commentary during, so hopefully a little bit of comic relief for what Joe has to say. And then we're going to be talking about it afterwards and rounding it out. So thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. Thanks, you guys who were able to stick through the internet hiccup that they hit us with right there in the middle. Thank you to everybody who participated. Thank you to the mods for keeping the chat comfy. Once again, Mark, once again, Methods, thanks for being here with me as always. I appreciate you both, and we will see you guys next time. Good luck and God bless.